Alright guys, it's time for our second addition to the Mad Max gang. This time the 71 Dodge Challenger. I'm going to run through the steps rather quickly as most of this has been covered in previous videos. Of course we'll begin by removing the rivets and taking the car apart. I don't want to remove all the paint from this model, so I sprayed some of my paint stripper into a container and then used a brush to selectively remove some of the paint. I then weathered the car just like we did in the last video using rust powders and matte coat. Here I'm using a wash to give the car a bit of a dirty, grimy look. I also did the same thing for the interior parts and the base. In this model the windshield is clear, so I plan to incorporate it into the final look. However, I'm planning on adding something in a bit that will need to go through the windshield, so I drilled a small hole in the area I needed it, and then, using some pliers, I tore away bits of the windshield. This will help give it that rough edges it needs in order to look like broken glass. The plastic Mattel uses is pretty soft, so tearing it's not that hard. After I remove about what I want, I then use a small file to further remove the plastic, but also dull all the edges. I then took some steel wool and gave the glass a bit of that foggy, dusty look. So here the car is put back together. Before I move on, I want to make sure that all the rust details are the way I want them, and that the texture is the way I like it. As you can see, the wheels are untouched, and this is because I have not added the dust to this car, which is the next step. I find it's much easier to remove the wheels and dust them first, let them dry, put them back on the car, and then dust the rest of the car with the wheels on. If I dusted the car with the wheels on previously, I tend to get too much overspray on the surrounding wheel wells, and it washes out the other details that I've worked so hard to get. At this point the car is weathered. All I need to do is add the accent I want that gives it that Mad Max look. In this case we'll be adding a minigun. To make the minigun, I use 1/16 brass tubing from Hobby Lobby. I cut 3 lengths the same size using wire cutters. I then filed all the ends as the wire cutters had crimped them. The small silver rings are made from 1/4-inch aluminum rod from Home Depot. I used a mini lathe to make the rings for my minigun. Originally I tried to drill the holes for each barrel, but that proved to be too difficult as drill bits that small wander too much. So instead I drilled one big hole just large enough for all 3 tubes to fit snugly in. When I was done, I used sandpaper to clean up all the sharp edges, and then put the gun together. It's just held together by friction. I didn't want to have to try to glue it. So now all that's left to do is to glue the gun into place inside the car. To do this I'm going to use industrial strength quick setting super glue, seen here. I first glue the windshield in as I don't want it to move. I then place a dab of the glue on the roof and then place the gun where I wanted it through the windshield. In 10 seconds it was set. And here's the final product. Originally I had made an ammo belt that came out of the window and looped back in. However, the scale was way off as I was using the ends of toothpicks as bullets. I would love to incorporate an ammo belt into this car, but I couldn't come up with a way to make N-scale bullets for an N-scale belt. Instead I'm thinking of adding some kind of box magazine and have it just jutting out of the passenger window. Maybe a big banana clip or something. If I do make one, I'll make another video to update this one. For now, I hope you like this edition. Thanks for watching.